Hey guys, Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Deep Exploration Code. Let's learn today how to make step-by-step photovoltaic panels with Blender 3D from scratch as shown in the following figures. After opening Blender, we will delete the cube by clicking on the Delete button. Next, we will click on Shift plus A, then on Mesh and finally on Plane. Now we will change from Object mode to Edit mode. After that, we select Edge Selection mode. Then we select an edge. Then we move this edge by clicking on the G button, then on the Y button. After that, we give an exact value of Y equal to -2. Once that we select Face Selection mode, we click on the face of the plane. Then we click on the button E to extrude and we give it a value of 0.35 in the Z-axis. Now we click on Inset Faces. After that, we move the mouse cursor inside the circle and then we click and without releasing we move it to the center of the circle. Then we give it an exact value of the thickness equal to 0.2. Afterwards, we click on the button E and then on Z to move it in the Z-axis as follows. Next, we give a correct value of X and Y equal to 0 and of Z equal to -0.035. After that, we select Edge Selection mode and we select the following 4 edges by clicking on the first edge with the left mouse button and then on the other edges by clicking on Shift plus left mouse button. Next, we click on Ctrl plus B and we are going to move it a little bit. Then we click with the left mouse button to fix it. Then we change the value of the width to 0.03 and the segment to 9. Then we select the next 4 edges by clicking always on the first edge with the left mouse button, then on the other edges by clicking on Shift plus the left mouse button. After that, we click on Ctrl plus B and we will move it a little bit and then we click with the left mouse button to fix it. Then we change the value of the width to 0.03 and the segment to 7. To finish, we select the following 4 edges. After that, we click on Ctrl plus B and we will move it a little bit and then we click with the left mouse button to fix it. Then we change the value of the width to 0.03 and the segment to 9. After that, we will change from Edit mode to Object mode to see what shape we get. Let's go back to Edit mode. After that, we select the Face Selection mode. Then we will click on the following face. Next, we click on Material Properties and then on New to create a material. We notice that it is named Material.001. We will now rename it. First, I will click twice on the name. Then, I will call it just Material 1. Next, I will create a second material by clicking on Add New Material slot. Then I click on New. We notice this time that it is also named material point 001 because we had changed the name of the previous material. We are now also going to rename it. First of all, I am going to click twice on the name. Then I will call it this time material 2. I will now give material 2 a color. For this example, I chose the black color. You can choose another color if you want. Then I will assign to this face that I chose the color of material 2 by clicking on Assign. To verify that the color of material 2 is well assigned, I click on Z, then on Material Preview. We notice that the material 2 has been assigned to the selected face. Now we go to Shader Editor to try to make our photovoltaic panel. The first node we will choose is Color Ramp by going on Add, then on Search, and finally on Color Ramp. Then we will link color to base color and change set interpolation between color stops to constant. Then we will click on the line on the right, which will give us the white color. And then we are going to move it to the left to the value 0.451. We go again in Add, then in Search, then we write Voronoi and we select Voronoi texture. Then we go to link distance as follow. We notice that on the plane of our photovoltaic panel, circles appears. We want to have for our photovoltaic panel small squares at well-determined distances and lines that cut this small square. To do it, we first change the value of random to 0. Then we go on Add, then on Search, then on Value. And we give him a value of 3.8. Then we link it to scale of Voronoi texture. We notice that circles appear in small size and at equal distances between them. So we reset random to 0. Then we go to Add, then to Search, then we write Mixed, then we click on Mix RGB. Next, we are going to group color ramp and Voronoi texture to obtain a node group. To do it, click on the button Ctrl plus G. Then exit the node group created and return to our material just by clicking on the Tab button. After that, we will copy and paste our group node by clicking on Ctrl plus C, then on Ctrl plus V. Then we move it. Afterwards, we click on the value 2 to remove it, and so the two node groups are independent, and we can change the values of one group node without changing the values of the other group node. Thereafter, we link it to value on the scale side and the color 2 on the color side as follow. Now to go inside the group node, just click on the node symbol next to the name. Then we change F1 to distance to edge. Then we will invert the black color to white color and vice versa. Then we will move the black color to the left or simply write 0.025. After that, we click on the Tab button to return to Material 2. Then, to go inside the first group node, we click on the node symbol which is near the name. Next, we click on the line representing the white color and we give it the value 0.76. We notice that the lines cut the small square that was created, which start to look like a photovoltaic panel. Now we return to Material 2 by clicking on the Tab button. Now we click on Mix RGB and we make a copy and paste by clicking on Ctrl plus C, then on Ctrl plus V. Then we put it between Mix RGB and Principal BSDF. Next we click again on Mix RGB and we copy and paste by clicking also on Ctrl plus C, then on Ctrl plus V. Then we will link it as follows. Now we copy and paste node group 0.001 by clicking on Ctrl plus C, then on Ctrl plus V. Then we click on the value 2 to remove it, and so the two node groups are independent. And we can change the values of one group node without changing the values of the other group node. Then we link it as follows. We prefer to link it to the first mixed to see its influence. After that, we copy and paste the value node by clicking on Ctrl plus C, then on Ctrl plus V. Then we link it as follows. Next, we change the value to 27.92. We notice that small lines appear between the main line along the X and Y axis. If we want those lines to appear only on one axis, we have to add the following nodes. First, we will search for matte by clicking on Add, then on Search, then on Matte. Then we link it as follows. Then we choose Multiply. Next, we give it a value of 9 to get smaller line. After that, we go on Add, then on Search, then we write Separate, then we click on Separate XYZ to choose an axis. And we link it as follows. We have to link it according to the x-axis inside the node group point 002 as follows. Now we click on Add, then on Search, and we look for mapping. And we link it as follows. And finally, we click on Add, then on Search, then we look for texture coordinate. And we link it UV to vector. Now we return to Material 2 by clicking on Tab. Then we copy and paste Matte and Group Node 2 by clicking on Ctrl plus C, then Ctrl plus V, then we link it as follows. Then we have to link it along the y-axis in the new subgroup point 002 after clicking on the node symbol which is next to the name in the following way. Now we return to Material 2 by clicking on Tab. Then we change the value of multiply to 1.1. Next, we link the new subgroup point 002 to mix RGB. Then we link the two mix RGB between them. We need to make a small correction before continuing. Now we need to click on 2 of the new subgroup point 002 so that it is detached from the previous subgroup point 002. Then we go to the previous subgroup point 002 after clicking on the node symbol next to the name. And then we correct the y-axis and put it back to the x-axis. Now we go back to Material 2 by clicking on Tab. Here is our photovoltaic panel. We can see the additional lines that we added vertically and horizontally. Here is our photovoltaic panel and how we connected all the nodes. By clicking with the left mouse button on the scene, we can see that the color of the photovoltaic panel is black. However, in general, a photovoltaic panel does not really have a homogeneous black color. To solve this problem, we will add two nodes, bump and noise texture. By going to add, then to search, then bump, then we look also for noise texture. Then we are going to link them as follow. Next, we will change the scale value of noise texture to 9.2. After that, the strength value of bump is equal to 0.16. If we see now our photovoltaic panel, we notice that it has a more realistic color. Now we are going to give the frame a color. We want to give the frame a brushed metal material effect. For that, we will first select the frame by clicking on A to select all the photovoltaic panel. Then by clicking on the center of the photovoltaic panel itself, by clicking on Shift button plus left mouse button to deselect it. After that, we click on Material 1 to choose another material. Next, we click on Assign to assign it to the photovoltaic panel frame. Now we go to Add, then to Search, then we write Bump, and then we select it. Next, we will link it as follow. Then we change the strength value to 0.03 and the distance to 0.2. Then we go again in Add, then in Search, then we write Noise, then we choose Noise Texture. And then we link it as follow. After that, we go again in Add, then in Search, then we write Mapping, then we click on Mapping. Next, we link it as follow. And finally, we change the scale value to 300 along the x-axis. After that, we go again to Add, then to search, then we write texture and we choose texture coordinate. And then we link it as follow. Finally, we go again in add, then in search, then we write mixed, and we choose mix RGB. Next, we give it the first color a white. And the second color a black. Then we link noise texture to mix RGB and then we link mix RGB to principal BSDF as follow. Now we change the roughness value to 0.296. Now we will adjust the roughness value to have this brushed metal material effect. So we change the roughness value to 0.122. Then we change the scale value to 350 along the x-axis. Here we have finished to give a brushed metal material effect to the photovoltaic panel frame. Now we will go back to material 2, which give us the features of the photovoltaic panel, and we will adjust these parameters as follows. I don't like the edges of the photovoltaic panel, and I would also like to fix them by making them less rounded. To do this, I first select the following lines. By selecting the first line by clicking on the left mouse button, then after clicking on Shift plus left mouse button to select the other edges. Next, I click on the right mouse button and I choose Dissolve Faces. Then I redo the same steps for the other lines. In this part, I will check again material 2 and material 1. Now we will reposition our photovoltaic panel. Next, we click on Modify Properties, then on Add Modify, then on Array. We notice that a second photovoltaic panel appears. If we want to have 5 photovoltaic panels, we just have to change the value of count to 5. To space them, check constant offset and change the distance value to 0.05. Now we are going to add 5 more photovoltaic panels as follows. We will click again on Add Modify, then on Array, but this time we will change the value of factor by putting according to the x-axis at 0 and according to the y-axis at 1. We obtain the location of the photovoltaic panel as follows. To space them, it is enough to check constant offset, then to change the value of distance to 0.05. The problem with these 10 photovoltaic panels is that they are linked together. To be able to separate them, you just have to go in Object Mode, then click on Apply of the last array, then on Apply of the first array. It is always necessary to follow this order from the last to the first. We notice that all the lines inside the photovoltaic panel have moved. Now we go back to Edit Mode. Then we go to Mesh, then to Separation, then to by Loose Parts. So we get each photovoltaic panel separated between them. This can be verified by noticing now that there are 10 names corresponding to the 10 photovoltaic panels. We can also check it by clicking on each panel after we change the mode from Edit Mode to Object Mode. We notice that all the lines in the photovoltaic panel have become normal again. Here is how we make a photovoltaic panel. The photovoltaic panel is now finished. Thanks for watching. I hope to see you next time.